Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2018 uh, incredible film that it is, Blindspotting. So this is written by David Diggs and Raphael Castle, who starred in this as well, playing Colin and Miles respectively. Ethan Embry's in this, Tisha Campbell-Martin, Janita Gavin Carr's in this, a bunch of other people are in this. This was heavy. I did not know what it was about. And I said this a few films ago. We were talking about something Kyle Garner related. I would never intentionally watch this film on the premise of the plot or whatever, but I watched because the actor's in it, and it turned out to be an incredible film. This is an example of I had no idea anything about this film. I didn't even know this film existed, and I knew who um what is Miles's name again? Not Miles. Colin. David Diggs is well known actor and singer. He was in Hamilton for quite some time. He was on Blackish on ABC for quite some time. David is awesome. So him and his friend Raphael wrote this film, and it premiered at Sundance back in 2018, something like that. Did amazing there, the Sundance Film Festival. This was Raphael's first feature film, and bro, this was heavy, heavy. So bringing to my point of I didn't know this movie existed. It was on my list of things to watch because Ethan Embry is in it, and we were doing a mini Ethan Embry marathon. And I'm so happy that I have seen this, and now I know it exists because now I can praise the hell out of it, because this was incredible. This was an incredible conversation piece. This was an incredible portrayal of individuals, lifelong friends, growing up in Oakland. How are they adapting to the gentrification of Oakland, and the conversation of race and terror for one race because of another race. So it was so eye-opening. It was so hard to watch certain scenes, getting the terror aspect of David within being stopped on the sidewalk by a cop. Will he be shot just because he's black? Will he won't not be shot? The beginning of the movie starts out with David's character is David and Raphael's characters play. They don't play. The characters are moving guys, and so they're driving their truck around, and David's character's bringing the truck back or whatever. And it's late at night. He's already on probation for a fight that he was in a year prior, and so he has 3 days left of this. So this story takes place within three days, and then the day after, the first day of off probation. And so he sees this cop, Ethan Embry's character, Officer Molina, shoot this black guy as he's running away in the back multiple times, and he's dead. And so Ethan then sees David seeing him, so they both see each other, and then David's told to move the truck immediately by another officer, getting away from the scene. Now, he was past his curfew, so if he reported that he was a witness, he'd go back to jail for breaking the probation. So it was a thing. It was a thing. What do you do in the morality sense if you watch someone being killed by a police officer? How do you go about your day to day? Do you go back to jail to give that person justice? How does that work? So while this is happening, Raphael's character is dealing with stuff, and David's character is dealing with stuff, and their stuff is bubbling up, and then things happen, and teaching, having to have the conversations with Raphael's son, Sean, in the show, in the film, about being a black kid in America. What do you do when a cop stops you? And those are conversations that white parents don't have to have with their kids, but black parents have to have with their kids. And it's a horrifying statement that I've just made, because it's true. I've worked with a lot of moms who are black, who've explained to me that types of conversations that they've had to have with the kids, and they say you're very fortunate because your parents never had to do that with you. But this is the reality we all unfortunately live in, and this is what we have to discuss with our kids, because they are at a higher rate to be shot for being black, whereas you are at a lower rate of being shot for being white. And it's a horrifying statement of this country that we live in, and it's interesting learning of a different cultural experience when you're not a part of it, because you're not aware of it, so you don't have to live it. So it's not, you're blind to it because you don't have to live it. And that was the purpose of this Blindspotting title and the psychology of it, and the friend Val is going through the blind spotting slang term she gave with the picture that looks like two faces if you look at it one way, but if you look at it in a different perspective, it can just look like a vase. So you can be living a truth that you think is a truth, knowing that something else is there. Until you see it, though, you're not going to recognize it. Subconsciously, you know it's there, but consciously, you're not going to realize it. It was a very interesting dynamic, the duality of the mind within that blind spotting aspect, and that psychological terminology reference point was brought into the character development of the story. What happens when Oakland is being gentrified? How does the white ghetto kid, quote unquote, Raphael's character, who's now, mid 30s, still interact with this environment? Can he still interact? Because it's the environment he grew up in. Now that there's all of these white gentrifiers coming into Oakland, how are they going to treat him? How are the outsider folk going to treat him? How are the insider black folk who have never met him before going to treat him? So it's very interesting. It's very interesting how times have changed. How do you adapt? How do you work together? Or do you completely divide? So it was a very poignant conversation. The whole wrap out at the end with David and Ethan's characters in that garage where they happen to be moving the furniture of his wife and son, who are moving out. It was an amazing moment, and it's very hard to utilize rap in a means of telling the story. So like some rap songs are actually eliciting a story. Most music actually elicits a story, but then other music is just, I like this girl, she doesn't like me, or whatever, right? But then with a catchy hook, or like a pop song, right? So to have a rap song being elicited within the actual dialogue and reference point of the story moving forward within an actual conversation, it was just, I've never seen it done before. It was very interesting. It's different than watching Hamilton. It's different than In the Heights, which Lin-Manuel Miranda is notoriously known for, and David was a part of that. It's different because that's specifically a musical. That's specifically a Broadway show. This was a movie. That's not a musical. But is it a musical? Because the story was told in song. So by default, it's a musical because that's what a musical is, a story that's told with song. Bro, I'm just so, my mind is blurring. I'm going to consider this a musical. It was amazing. The fight scenes were, the choreography were great. The internal figuring out, internal reconciliation of blind spotting, I am amazed. And I don't mind that Ethan was only in the beginning of this film and the end of this film, in a very quick little nightmare scenario of David's character. But I specifically watched this because Ethan's in it, as I've been doing for the other marathons. We did a Devon Sawa marathon, we did a Kyle Garner marathon. We're still technically doing the Kyle Garner marathon because I'm watching the Outsiders TV show, which he plays the character of Hassel Ford. But I watching the Ethan Embry films as well that I am capable of watching. Plus other stuff. We're doing our Goosebumps marathon. We're doing things, right? But it's neat to be surprised sometimes. I hate surprises in general. I hate surprise parties. I hate surprises of, guess what I got you. I hate it. I hate surprises. But I was completely surprised with this film, not knowing anything about it, not knowing who was in it, aside from Ethan. And the fact that he wasn't the main character did not bother me at all. I was thoroughly in right there. I was with the characters. I was watching the experience. I was feeling the emotions. I was enamored. And there were certain moments where I just stopped and looked. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching, because it just brings up conversations that me, as a white guy, don't have to think about. I don't have to think about certain things where other folk of different skin color do. It's very interesting. It's very interesting when things are brought to your attention that you were not aware of or consciously aware of. Bruh. Interesting. It's the best word for this. Interesting. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Took me gasping moments. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed with this film. I'm glad I watched it. I will continue to praise this. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.